Donald Trump is in a total panic mode. He was giving these disastrous pressers where he didn't know the difference between Iran and India, the same way he didn't know the difference between Albania and Armenia. I mean, this is someone who is deeply unwell and cognitively deteriorating before our very eyes. Want to go through what's been going down. Now, the Trump administration, in response to the trade war against the world that the United States is losing badly to China, the Trump administration's now saying it is going to go full communism. The Trump administration announced officially it will set price floors across a range of industries to combat market manipulation by China, according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Price floors across industries. It's quite literally what communism is. The Trump regime, they are communists. Let's just call it out directly what it is. They are communists who protect their right-wing oligarchy subsidies for the billionaires. Now, the ceasefire is coming apart already between Israel and Hamas, as we predicted it would on the MeidasTouch network, because Israel and Hamas never signed the ceasefire deal. They are not signatories to it, which you would expect in a ceasefire deal. Also, Hamas had said it's not disarming. Israel said we're still going to go after the Hamas tunnels. Donald Trump said he doesn't know if he supports a two-state solution. Netanyahu says he doesn't support a two-state solution. So with all of those variables, we were saying on the MeidasTouch network, why the hell are you spiking the football? Look, it's a great day when the remaining hostages were returned. 83% of the hostages, over 100 hostages, were returned under former President Biden. We were not spiking the football because we understand the history in the Middle East. But under the Trump regime, it's like, I want a Nobel Peace Prize. It's so utterly pathetic. Let's take a look at the headlines. Trump said yesterday that Israeli forces could resume fighting in Gaza, quote, as soon as I say the word, if Hamas won't uphold the ceasefire deal. Donald Trump said Wednesday he would consider allowing Netanyahu to resume military action in Gaza if Hamas refuses to uphold its end of the ceasefire deal, telling CNN that Israeli forces could return to the streets as soon as I say the word. What's going on with Hamas? Donald Trump said, well, 2 days ago, Donald, you said that you liked that Hamas was going after the gangs in Palestine. We should also note that, on the other hand, the United Nations is saying that Israeli forces, quote, continue to kill civilians in Gaza despite the ceasefire, saying that war crimes by Israel continued, according to this UN agency. The United Nations also expressed alarm over Israel's decision to withhold part of the humanitarian aid promised under the agreement. Meanwhile, Israel's far-right finance minister, who's very influential in the Netanyahu government, Smotrich, he vowed, quote, there will be Jewish settlements in Gaza during an address in the southern border city. This assertion comes days after the ceasefire deal was announced, although, as I've noted, Hamas and Israel were not signatories to that, and there were different versions of it as well that the Arab countries saw and that Israel saw. It should also be noted that Hamas has been cracking down on rival clans and militias in Gaza and reasserting its control. There have been mass executions taking place at the hands of Hamas there, and Hamas has reasserted control in Gaza. So, in essence, what the hell are we even talking about? And why is it that the MeidasTouch network is like the only news network out there that's just putting together these objective facts and making, I think, what are obvious observations? Now, meanwhile, you know how Donald Trump was selling those Trump watches for thousands of dollars, or in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, The Daily Beast reports how MAGA supporters who paid hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, and in some case, hundreds of thousands of dollars hate the watches. They feel scammed. The Trump watches are getting 1-star reviews, the worst type of reviews on Trustpilot. And people are saying, we've been scammed, like this review right here from someone by the name of Terry Barber. I wish President Trump could be notified about what this company has done to customers. I've read many stories of people who never even received their watch. Our experience is we ordered the red watch, limited edition on May 2nd, waited until May 31st to receive the watch. I wrote to them every couple of weeks asking this was for a specific occasion date. They eventually answered shipping soon. Then the watch finally arrives May 31st. Husband loves it. All his friends love it. Then after 55 days, my husband realizes the watch gaining a few minutes every week. So he had to keep resetting the time. This is supposed to be automatic win. That's why I paid so much for it. I wrote to them several times. They eventually sent a label to send it back. That was on 7/28. Today's September 3rd, and they are still giving me excuses. It's being repaired. We need to order the part. It's being double checked. Every excuse. My husband now would just like the money back, counting the original 32 days shipping time, and now 34 days they've had it to repair. They've had the watch longer than he has. Horrible, horrible company. Oh my God, Donald Trump is scamming you. By the way, where's your Doge dividend check? Where's your tariff rebate check? Oh, Donald Trump's too busy building a 90,000 square foot golden ballroom, or what he wants to build, the triumphant arch. He's focused on that right there. As he's ripping away healthcare from 20 million Americans, he's giving $40 billion to Argentina. Now, you may be saying, Ben, didn't you report that it was 20 billion? Nope, it's actually going to be 40 billion. The number has increased in 24 hours. Why? Well, 20 billion purportedly is going to a, quote, currency swap, which no one really knows even how that's going to go down. And then the other $20 billion, a sovereign fund of Trump's rich friends, are coming together to put money into Argentina backed by our Treasury Department. This is how it was described on Bloomberg. This is what they're focused on, folks. While Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and groceries are arising, getting costlier, this is what they're focused on. Play this clip from Bloomberg. Let's play it.
There are media outlets reporting that Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, has outlined financial aid to that country that would total $40 billion. For more, let's bring in Bloomberg's Mike McKee. Mike, from what we understand, are there conditions tied to this? Are there strings attached to up to $40 billion of aid from the United States to Argentina?
Well, the administration hasn't made a whole lot clear about any of this yet, Scarlett. We don't even know about the original $20 billion, whether it's a true swap line where they give us pesos and we lend them dollars and then we exchange them back eventually. And now Scott Bessent is talking about a $20 billion private fund made up of individual investors, and he says sovereign wealth funds that would be interested in buying Argentine debt or making investments in Argentina. That's all we know at this point. And of course, the idea of somebody spending $20 billion to buy bonds in Argentina, given Argentina's track record of paying it back, they already owe billions, tens of billions to the IMF, seems a little fanciful. So we're not exactly sure how all of this is going to work.
So then Donald Trump starts bragging and boasting about how they're cutting all of these projects. He goes, I call him Darth Vader, Russ Vote, but they're only cutting the Democrat projects like energy and disease and federal emergency management. You know, those projects them Dems like healthcare, SNAP, women, infant, and children, WIC-related programs, you know, those Democrat programs. That's how we're showing them Dems. Here, play this clip of Donald Trump. Let's play it.
So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vote. But Russell Vote is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects.
This is where Donald Trump did not know the difference between India and Iran. Here, play this clip.
Tariffs are a very important tool for our defense, for our national security. If we don't have tariffs, we're not going to have national security. As an example, if you look at Pakistan and Iran, I told them I was in the midst of negotiating a trade deal with Iran, and Pakistan was going to be in line. And because of tariffs, they all want to negotiate much differently. We're making a good deal. And then I heard that they're shooting at each other. And I said during one of my conversations, are you guys going to go to war? 2 nuclear powers we are thinking about. I said, here's the deal. You go to war, I'm going to put a 200% tariff. I'm going to stop you from doing any business in the United States. I said it to both of them.
And here Donald Trump boasts and brags, we're taking $20 billion away from Manhattan. Yeah, New York City, we screwed you. We screwed the biggest city in the United States. You screwed New York, MAGA. We're going to give $40 billion to Argentina, MAGA. So foolish. Such fools. Here, play this clip.
Got a lot of people paid, actually. We got the people that we want paid, okay? And we want the FBI paid, we want the military paid. We got the people that we want paid. And I'll tell you, the Democrats, they don't talk about this. You know, we're getting rid of programs that we didn't like, but that were negotiated in, but we didn't like. We're terminating those programs, and they're going to be terminated on a permanent basis. And it's thousands of people, and it's billions of dollars. We're getting rid of a lot of things that we never wanted because of the fact that they made this stupid move. And they don't want to talk about it. You know, they have their day coming up. I hear very few people are going to be there, by the way. But they have their day coming up, and they want to have their day in the sun. But they should really make a deal. So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vogt. But Russell Vogt is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects. There's not only jobs, I mean, the project in Manhattan, the project in New York, it's billions and billions of dollars that Schumer has worked 20 years to get. It's terminated. Tell him it's terminated, Jennifer.
And meanwhile, as Carl Quintanilla says, you can't script these better. On the one hand, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Wednesday said, the United States does not want to escalate the trade conflict with China, and the leaders will meet in South Korea. We don't want a trade war with China. On the other hand, Donald Trump said, question, are we in for a sustained trade war with China? Answer, we're in a trade war now, is what Donald Trump says. By the way, more universities are saying no to Donald Trump's demand that they sign a pact for the Trump regime to take over the universities. Brown University, the latest hat tip to them, standing up to the Trump regime. Brown University rejects the White House deal for special treatment. Brown was the second university after MIT to turn down the deal, which would have given funding preferences to universities that agree with Trump's requirements. Also, J.D. Vance downplays the group chat from the young Republicans, saying, these are kids. They do stupid things. They're young boys. They're just edgy jokes as they talked about concentration camps and gas chambers and rape and a bunch of other horrible things. For J.D. Vance, he's like, whatever. That's how kids talk. That's just how the Republicans talk these days. Sick. By the way, MeidasTouch's podcaster superstar Adam Mockler, he stood up to one of the hosts of Charlie Kirk's podcast on this very issue. Watch what went down. Let's play it.
Just think about this. We saw these Nazi group chats, which I'm sure you condemn, right? This Nazi group chat.
Well, we can talk about it.
Do you condemn it?
I want to talk about it.
Wait, so when they said gas chambers,
disavow.
When they say gas chambers, you won't. So you're like JD Vance. You just won't condemn this?
Well, I actually had JD on the show today. We had a whole conversation.
You guys can all condemn this, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
Chris, can you condemn that?
And then finally, I want to show you Trump's own Federal Reserve governor, the new guy they appointed. Moran, I think his name is. Watch him just get fact-checked multiple times in a row on CNBC. This was actually a good interview. This was Trump's own person, who's now the new governor on the board of the Federal Reserve. Here, play this clip.
So we were supposed to get an inflation report today. Didn't. Government shutdown. What do you think it would have shown?
Oh, well, that's above my pay grade.
How are you looking at alternative data sources? Like, how are you piecing together what's happening? You're going to have to make a decision at the end of October whether the government's open or not.
So I would love to have the data that we need to make the decision. We are fortunate that we only make monetary policy decisions outside of a crisis every 6 months. And so I'm still hopeful that we'll have more data by the time we get to the point.
6 weeks.
Yeah, sorry, every
6 weeks.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
Every 6 weeks. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm hopeful that we have the data in hand by the time we get to the October FOMC meeting. However, there's a chance that we don't. And if we don't, then I would rely on what I said a moment ago, which is that policy should not be overly data dependent. It should be forecast dependent.
That's not how the Fed operates, though. I mean, how many times do we hear Fed Chair Powell say data dependent? I
mean, I think that you want to be data dependent if you either you don't have a forecast or you don't believe in your forecast, right? Or you don't have.
But if you look at the forecasts of the Fed in the dots, they project their economic and inflationary outlooks. They're mostly not right.
I think that is something that every forecaster should hold them, should hold themselves to account for when they're right or wrong.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. We appreciate you. New Midas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.